So this is my current physique as a South Asian. I've pretty much maintained this for over 4+ years quite easily, to be honest with you. I'm going to teach you the things that I've done, why I've done them, so you can implement them as fast as possible. So I'll split this video into two areas, right? The first is the tactical tips, so that focuses on the training, nutrition and recovery. And the second part is on the lifestyle and mindset. So in each of these sections, I'm basically going to talk about the tips that I did and then also talk about why I think it was effective being a South Asian as well. So the first is nutrition, right? So number one thing that I did and I'm doing right now is pretty much 95% eating clean foods, right? So I'm talking whole foods, fresh ingredients, high in protein. I don't really buy any packaged foods apart from fish fingers every couple of weeks. That is my weakness, but apart from that, everything else is clean and fresh, and I cook everything pretty much myself. Number two is South Asian flavors. So everything that I eat pretty much is seasoned and spiced because I don't like eating bland foods, right? If I was to eat bland chicken and rice, then I wouldn't be able to stay consistent, which then means I wouldn't be able to get the results that I have and maintain for over these years. So I make sure the food that I'm eating I actually enjoy, and I spice them properly and I season them the right way with the South Asian flavors that I normally like. Number three is I eat high amounts of protein, right? So when I was doing my recomp phase, so losing fat and building muscle, I was eating around 3 grams per kg, which is very, very high, which is above recommended really when it comes to protein intake, as 2.2 grams per kilogram is usually the limit. So I was eating that much during my body recomp phase, but now it is less. Right now I'm having 3 main meals, which the first meals will always be eggs, 4 eggs with some sort of omelette or maybe with some oats or something. And second and third meal will either be chicken, beef or fish, right? That's pretty much it. And in between then I might have some sourdough toast, some dates, a couple of snacks here and there, banana. But apart from that, that's pretty much it. That's simply what I eat on a regular basis. Number 4 is preparation. Apart from cooking the eggs, everything else I pretty much make is time efficient. So when I'm marinating chicken, I marinate chicken for at least 3-4 meals. When I'm cooking pasta, I make sure I cook for at least 3-4 meals. When I'm batch cooking rice, I make sure I cook rice for at least 3-4 meals because I'm trying to save as much time as possible, right? I want to be as efficient as possible. I want to be in and out of the kitchen because I don't want to be sat there in the kitchen doing stuff when I've got work to do or I want to chill out, right? I want to be efficient, in and out. So why do these tips work being a South Asian? The first is genetics, right? So South Asians have a lot of something called slow twitch muscle fibers, which are not great for muscle building but are very good for endurance. So having more slow twitch muscle fibers means that I may have had to eat more protein to be able to put the muscle on because protein is a building block of muscle. So if you're in the same position, maybe consider having an extra high amount of protein, more than you normally do, because you might be in a similar position to me. Number 2, normally South Asian diets are also very high in carbs and low in protein. So generally a South Asian is probably not eating enough protein as we should be to put on muscle size. But like I mentioned earlier, I was eating an extraordinary high amount for what was recommended, and that could have helped with my muscle gain phase. The next is the carbs, right? So if we're constantly having high carb foods, that ends up getting stored as fat in the body. So I cut down on white carbs pretty much totally, and I focus on eating whole wheat meals and I focus on having whole carbs, which has helped keep me lean and energetic for a long period of time. And number 3, which is very important, is something called insulin resistance, which is naturally very higher in South Asians. So insulin is basically a hormone that's responsible for helping our cells take in sugar from our bloodstream. So let's say I have some toast, right? I eat some toast and that sugar's gone into my body, which is basically energy, and then the insulin is basically going to be the thing that takes that from the bloodstream, that sugar, and puts it into the cells so I can use it, okay? When your body has more sugar than is required, insulin signals to our body to store it as fat for later use. So it will store it as a pocket, like storage compartment, because we may need the energy for later. Now when insulin levels are always high, your body is basically always in storage mode. So it's always thinking to itself, when the food comes in, let me store it as fat, let me store it as fat. One of the areas that we store a lot of this fat is the abdomen area. It's called visceral fat because we have a lot of receptors there that respond to insulin. So there's a high likelihood of you storing fat in that area because of your high insulin levels. Now the next question is, what causes insulin resistance? Number 1 is high intake of sugar and processed foods. Number 2 is a low fiber intake, right? So with the first one, high sugar and processed food, pretty much 99% cut that out. I don't eat processed foods, like I said, don't eat packaged foods. So that could be a massive reason as to why I'm able to stay in shape and be lean. Number 2 is the low fiber intake, which is actually something I am working on myself to try and improve and get more of. So training. The first thing I can say is I've been consistent in the gym for at least 4+ years now, training 3 times a week, every single week, apart from the weeks which I've been ill, right? Now that's massively helped me. And number two is I was hyper focused on progression. So I was taking my phone with Apple Notes in there and I was tracking my weights in terms of have I improved from week after week, have I gone up in reps, have I gone up in sets, have I gone up in weight, and I was tracking that religiously. I wasn't just going in there half-assed, not knowing what I'm doing. I had a plan and I was hyper focused on making progress. Now, why do these tips work being a South Asian, right? So, like I mentioned before, we have naturally slow twitch muscle fibers which are less responsive to muscle growth, so muscle hypertrophy. So that means we need to double down on the progressive overload and training. So just doing a half-hour session is not going to be enough for us. We need to make sure that we're progressing every single week, and we need to make sure that our training is intense. That's definitely something that's helped me grow and build muscle and maintain it over the last couple of years. Now look, I want to give you an analogy, right? Let's just say you have an African brother and you have a South Asian brother. Both of them start the exact same time in the gym for 1 year following the same routine. There's a 99% likelihood that the African brother is going to come out with better muscle building after a year. So what do we do then in that situation? What we need to do is double down on the consistency and the progression, like I mentioned. So we need to make sure that over the long period of time, 3, 4, 5 years, we're able to stay in the gym at least 3 times a week. We need to make sure that we're progressing properly, and we need to make sure we're fueling ourselves correctly to make up for that lack of genetics, as we say. And obviously that is a vast generalization by the way. There's obviously going to be South Asians with extraordinary genetics that can, build muscle really, really fast, but I'm just not in that camp, so I want to let you know from my experience. Next is sleep. I've been trying to sleep 7 to 8 hours regularly every single night, and I've been trying to make this a habit even on weekends, and I've cut out a lot of things that can mess up my sleep as well. Don't go out, I don't go clubbing, I don't drink alcohol, I don't do any of those stuff because I know it will mess up my sleep. So why do we as South Asians need to focus on regular sleep? We have naturally lower testosterone levels, and testosterone is a hormone which is huge in muscle building and muscle growth and just getting stronger in general, right? It's a masculine hormone. Since we are naturally lower in it, we need to find a way to keep that up. And testosterone is released during sleep massively. When you have deep, restorative, regular sleep, testosterone production is higher, human growth hormone production is higher. All of these growth hormones are being facilitated and literally pumped out into your body when you give yourself regular sleep. So we need to focus on getting good regular sleep. And it also helps with fat loss as well. Now the second is the mental aspects of it. So you have better memory, better mood, better cognitive function. Now imagine if you wake up with a better mood, feeling more positive, you're going to be more likely to be consistent, which means you're going to be in the gym regularly, which will help you stay in shape and get in shape. So make sure you lock in your sleep. That's part A done. Part B, the lifestyle and the mindset. This is super simple, right? The honest truth is, I don't really care what my friends or family say or do. Their opinion on health and fitness is irrelevant to me. Why would I listen to them when they don't have the same goals that I have and they have not walked the same path that I'm trying to walk? I want to be shredded, I want to be lean, I want to be sharp, I want to be put together, I want to have a good presence around me, and I don't want a fat stomach and a double chin when I'm walking around. That's me. Doesn't mean I'm better than anyone else, that's just my goal. So if anyone has the following opposite to that, I will not listen to what they say, because I do not negotiate with terrorists, okay? Why would I listen to what they have to tell me when they're trying to take me off my path? It's simple. I don't negotiate with them. This is my life. I will focus on what I need to do. And I leave them to their thing, no judgment. And I'm not bothered if I'm labelled as being too extreme, too far, and if you need to chill out, take a weekend off, or you're being on a health kick, or you're being proper healthy. I don't care. I really don't care. That's my life, and I will do what I need to do to focus on myself for the next 20 years, because when I'm 40 and I'm still moving like a 20-year-old, believe me, it's possible, because I'm seeing it in the gym right now. People that are 50, 60, that have been training for 30 years, that are moving slick, right? I'm telling you that right now. So I don't want to hear anyone else what they've got to say, unless they can help me in this journey. Now this is not to say anything bad about your friend group, but most likely if you are deciding, and by the way, the word decide means to cut off every other single option. That is the word decide, the definition of that. But once you have made a decision to become the healthiest and strongest and leanest version of yourself, don't expect every single person in your family and friend group start clapping and be like, yeah, well done, well done, well done. No, that's not going to happen. Most likely it doesn't happen for me, right? You're going to be on your own for a bit. You're going to have to sleep on time when everyone else is having fun. You're going to have to eat healthy foods when everyone else is going out for junk. You're going to have to cut down the alcohol when everyone else is going out. That's just a sacrifice. But in a couple of years, when you look back, you're going to be shredded, lean, healthy. You will have built the lifestyle habits to help you over the next 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and you'll be in a way better position in the long run, in my personal opinion.